there we go as the engines have been fired up here for the first race of the round of 16. Let's go through the starting grid. No surprise on the front row whatsoever. It's the number 17 Chevrolet of Corbin McCauley, and you got the number 6 Ford of Justin Belmonte. And then in row 2, you have the number 13 Chevrolet of rookie Jared Ireland in third place. And rounding out there, the top 4 will be the number 21 Chevrolet of Atlanta winner Matthew Patak.
All right, let's look at row 3 now, where C.D. Mangrum will round out the top 5 in his number 1 Chevy, and he'll have Season 1 Earl Ross Cup champion Ryan Gibson for company in his number 23 Chevy. He'll start 6th. Last week's winner, Ty Higginbotham, draws 7th position here tonight, so that's the inside of row 4. He'll have Michael Wolford on his outside. He'll start 8th in the number 36 Chevy.
Rounding at the top 10, we got 2 rookies in the number 3 Toyota of Dylan Baum and another fellow Toyota in the number 15 of Kyle Knoll. And then in 11th place here, just outside the top 10, the Talladega winner, Hunter Young, the number 77 Ford. To his outside, he's got the number 10 Chevrolet of Jason Butler.
On to row 7 now, where we have Jose Mercado starting 13th. First time he's missed out on the NASCAR Series playoffs here in the Canadian eMotorsports Network, so definitely a different vibe for him. On his outside, he's got a playoff driver in Andy Hurdle starting 14th. Then we look to row 8. Dan Cudmore starts 15th, series founder in his number 2 Ford. He'll have another Ford driving a Chevy, Darcy Ford in the number 64 in 16th.
And then rounding it all out at the back of the field here in 17th will be the number 12 Toyota, Mike Marini, who fell just short of a playoff spot, but he is still going to do his best, get some good points, and maybe come on out with a win in these playoffs and maybe spoil the playoff field in some capacity.
Well, speaking of that playoff field, you were talking about John Peden missing earlier. There's another name you didn't say there. No Scott Bailey.
That is also interesting, so I'm surprised I never caught that one either. And the pace car is going to go off, so we're going to make this call here before we get into that discussion. The green flag is out. We're underway with the Season 4 Earl Ross Cup playoffs at Richmond Raceway. The Richmond 150 is underway.
And we were starting 3 wide, it appeared, just about.
Yeah, we had some 3-wide action going on to start off right there at about 2nd and 3rd place or so, and already Wolfer going high up on the track right there, and I probably should put in Richmond on the ticker. That does indeed help. So McCauley's going to lead the first lap of this one here. It's a 200-lapper. Stages are 45, 70, and 85. And that altogether, of course, is 200 laps. And yeah, you were talking about there, and I'm surprised I even missed it myself. Yes, so along with Jonathan Peden, Scott Bailey is also not here tonight, which does make me wonder if he's just thinking about, he does still have that decent gap. Or actually, if I take a very, very quick look right here, yeah, plus 16. Yeah, it's plus 16 in 4th place. I'm wondering if he might just wait until Kansas, because then again, he's pretty good on the intermediates, and he's had a pretty consistent season thus far, so maybe he's taking a little bit of a risk right there.
But, yeah, even that's risky because, taking a risk. Obviously John Peden will wind up being in that 16 spot with just that plus 1 going into tonight. But with the way the points are allocated, even just on the finishing positions alone, I think last place tonight gets somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 points. So that's going to put Bailey down into 15th, so he's going to be guaranteed below the cut line just by missing out tonight. He's going to have some work to do.
And I'm very happy to have you here because you are definitely a lot better at the math than I am, and I'll have a lot more talking than you do, so that helps you focus on that right there. There's a loose moment right there for the number 6 of Justin Belmonte off of turn 4. He saves the car. And again, that's just another example right here of a slick racetrack. Again, slick short track. We remember how North Wilkesboro went.
Indeed so. But I mean, it seems like, it's a little bit smoother here so far. Certainly, kind of results or development we're accustomed to seeing with the guy at the head of the board. Of course, Corbin McCauley, we've raced at Richmond twice. He's won it both times. Not a surprise at all to see him at the top of the board here so early on. We'll have to see if he can hang on for the half.
Oh, trouble! Hunter Young's around on the back straightaway. Caution's out on lap 7. And that's the number 77. Maryville Speedway Ford, the Talladega winner, going around on the back straightaway. And we have an early caution here. And you were saying things are going smoothly.
Yeah, I swear to God there's a voodoo doll somewhere watching, or some kind of priestess or something that is causing this jinx. It is not our collective fault.
That is certainly a way to put it. So we'll take a look here at what happened here to the 77. He's side by side here with Hunter Young down the front straightaway trial, however we want to put it. Mercado goes way up high into the wall. Oh, and then Darcy Ford gets in the back of him on the left rear quarter panel, and Young goes around. He barely nicks the inside wall. Not an ideal start for the guy who won his way into the playoffs back at Talladega.
Yeah, and that win, that got him his +5 advantage in relation to, the rest of the field in terms of the bonus points, obviously. So, he doesn't have a whole lot of room to work with either. He technically starts in a tie for 7th in this playoff picture, but every mistake is just magnified that much more whenever the eliminations really start to come up.
And we also saw here Mercado along the high side. It wasn't just between Ford and Young that we witnessed right there, but Mercado really going up to the high side there, gets in the wall. Almost trying to do something like Kyle Larson style there, however you want to put it, but anyways, that is the first caution of the race right there, earlier than drivers and even us would definitely want, but thankfully only one car around. They only nicked the inside wall barely. I'm sure there's going to be no issues there. Young has still caught up here with the pack, so there's definitely worse that could happen.
I was going to say, it's the kind of thing that, on a slightly bigger track may not have warranted a caution at all, if there was kind of room to maneuver. But given the short track nature of Richmond, discretion's kind of err on the side of caution here is where I'm trying to go with that. And that's what we've done through the iRace control platform that we are now using.
Indeed, we are now using that software for the automatic stage cautions, which has definitely helped because there hasn't been issues with the drivers. Because again, the drivers want the stage caution to come out once the final driver that are in stage points crosses the line, but they have absolutely no idea when they can. And if there are guys that do have, admin controls in the race and they're not around that area, then that causes a problem. So having this software that I can use definitely helps out, but we'll get to that eventually. The green flag is back out here at Richmond. The 150 is back to green.
And the 17 has jumped out again. Kel Shock.
Exactly. But no, back here in second place. Ooh, Belmonte a little bit loose there along that right rear quarter panel right there. He and Jared Ireland, the two top rookies in the field, side by side for second place. Ireland's also going to have a loose moment. He's going to go in the grass. And I am trying to get my camera there. Yeah, he was able to save the car, but he's going to fall all the way back to last. So another driver dealing with issues early on.
And, Ireland came in second, or as the number 2 seed effectively tonight with that +23 gap. So, yeah, not ideal there. A little bit of, kind of 70s era hydraulics as he went through the infield. But, that's, if you go back to his win at Kansas, he wound up toward the back of the field, actually in stage 3 in that race, if I recall. He's more than capable of driving his way back through to get to the front.
For sure. So everyone is relatively single file here now on lap 15 and 200. Again, friendly reminder, stages are 45, 70, and 85. So we still have another, when we get around this time by right here, we'll have 30 laps to go in the first stage. And especially, too, thinking of short tracks as well, that definitely that definitely puts in a good game when it comes to the green flag pit windows.
Yeah, and I mean, the fact that we've already had a few caution laps here will alter a couple of the calculations as well, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Again, having already that one caution so far, we didn't with Ireland. But we're seeing here already, Ireland's already caught up here to the back of the field. He's passing the number 2 of Daniel Cudmore, and he's actually right in between two cars that both missed. Actually, no, you got every driver here that is in the playoffs is between 1st and 12th, and then everyone else from 13th back, besides Ireland, obviously. Like, Ireland's right in the middle of Mercado, Wolford, Marini, and Cudmore, so he's going to have to get around 2 more of these guys right here to get himself back around more comfortable and recognizable territory.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's very early to make a judgment of, cream rising to the top. But again, the fact that, 12 of our playoff drivers are sort of occupying that kind of top 2/3 of the field, if you will, I mean, kind of speaks for itself there a little bit.
Indeed, so Wolford let the number 13 pass him by with a little bit of ease right there, but he still has some catching up to do to Mercado. We see here Hunter Young trying to get to the inside of Jason Butler here for the 11th spot. Butler kind of sliding up there towards the middle of the high groove. Young staying on the inside. Really going to dive it down low here into turns 1 and 2. And Butler again going way up the track. And that's going to cause Hunter Young to clear him for the 11th spot. And looking through the rest of the field here, there's no one in the middle. I don't think anyone else is really going double file at all. Right now, between the two leaders, it's about 0.7 of a second between Macaulay and Belmonte on lap 21 of 200. And Young has gotten kind of a distance there now over Butler. There's Jose Mercado. Ireland is catching up very fast, though, if we take a look quickly at his roll bar. Yeah, he is catching up real fast, even also to Butler and Hunter Young. You can see them right there, but everyone else from about 10th onwards, they'll be just exiting off of turn 2 here. Butler seems to be really struggling.
Yeah, and that might just be maybe an early setup consideration there for the 10, as you say, kind of languishing down in 12th. A little bit of, there are definitely cars forming behind him, I guess would be the best way to put it, and sort of dropping off the back of Hunter Young there, at least as much as you can on a track where your laps are only 23, 24 seconds.
And so Ireland got past, Mercado let Ireland pass right there, and now Ireland's going to get to the bottom here of Jason Butler into turn 1 on lap 24, and he's going to get by him pretty easily. Here's Butler, continues to go towards the middle and high grooves in the corners. Ireland, again, we saw Ireland going through the grass there a couple laps back, and now he's all the way back up to 12th here, so he's definitely making some strides. But again, at the same time, like you said, we're only on lap, I think apparently it's still 25 out of 200. Again, we're still pretty early on, and we're only just past halfway through this first stage.
Yeah, I mean, still lots of time for things to happen. Nothing's set in stone at all. At this particular point, everything does have to be earned on the track, obviously. And yeah, fortunately for Jared Ireland, if it was going to happen, it happened early, giving himself plenty of time to kind of work his way through the field, maybe pick off a few more drivers, get himself a couple of stage points here to minimize the damage, because he's kind of knocking on the door of that as he's right around, that's the battle for 10th and 11th, I believe. Andy
that would be for 9th. That's between the number 64 Wing Snob Chevrolet of Darcy Ford and the number 7 Doritos Chevrolet of Andy Hurdle. Again, Darcy Ford. We remember Macaulay is the only winner in NASCAR Series history here to have won at Richmond back in 2020 and 2021. The network didn't host a race at Richmond last year, and there was Macaulay winning both of those races. Ford finished a runner-up to him both times as well.
Yeah, sorry, I was paying attention to that, but I was also having the thought I was actually getting a little hungry with Andy Hurdle driving the Doritos number 7. I think it is actually the Doralton Ventures number
Oh,
7,
that
the
would be
Williams.
okay. That's Doralton Ventures. I read that completely wrong. I mean, I've made worse mistakes with Hurdle. I mean, I quite literally thought he had already done like iRacing, road course racing or something, but no, that this is one of his little first time things, so I've done worse.
Yeah, it's Nacho first time, won't be the last.
Oh, come on.
Yeah!
And he's, well, I guess maybe something tastier on the back there is Duracell.
Yeah, I kind of already made the Energizer joke earlier this year, so we'll just leave him and get back to the kind of heart of the action here.
Yeah. Jason Butler still struggling in his number 10 Rampage Coffee Co. Wing Snob and Kyle's Fried Chicken Chevrolet, also with Piping Kettle Soup Co. on the car as well. He's fallen all the way back to 16th. And the 17th car, number 12, and Mike Marini is even going to get around him as well. So this is not ideal for, again, the guy who barely squeezed into the Earl Ross Cup playoffs back at Daytona. Was very lucky that 4 other drivers who were eligible to get in with a win, thankfully none of them won, and it was Higginbottom that was, again, able to make Butler breathe a sigh of relief, but he's not breathing a sigh of relief right now.
No, but I mean, it's not, again, full-on heart palpitations or anything yet either. Yeah. Again, we go back to the point of the fact that it is super early still. Like, we've just kind of come up on 15% race distance here. So I wonder if maybe it's kind of by design on the part of the 10 to kind of hang back a little bit. Because obviously there's a long way to go. Lots can happen, and I mean, how many times did we talk about more of the conservative strategy in relation to Dan Cudmore during the regular season, kind of hanging back a little bit? I wonder if maybe there's a long-term play here for the 10.
Yes, that is definitely something to consider, as we're seeing the number 3 Dylan Baum starting to even fall back as well. Now back to 5th place here in behind the 21, the Paytack. He's going to remain side by side. Now it's going to be side by side with the 2020 champion, the number 23 of Ryan Gibson, who is currently below the cut line. Although if you do, Jordy, if you do your math here after the first, whoa, I thought something was going to happen there from Paytack. Baum was also in the wall right there. I think he caught it on the front stretch a lap or two back right there. But again, Jordy, if you end up doing some math here after the first stage, I do wonder if Gibson, again, in 5th place, he might have himself above the cut line.
Well, yeah, that would be obviously 6 stage points for him right off the bat. So that would very much pull him out of that kind of drop zone, so to speak. And yeah, obviously that'll be something to be determined later on. But yeah, it's something that I'll watch the YouTube feedback and I'll do my best to get the standings at the moment the caution drops, so we can actually get the numbers as close to real time as possible.
Indeed, so we're on lap 38 to 200 here. Corbin McCauley still leading the way by about a second and a half. As, whoa, Jason Butler, Mike Marini getting very close right here through the front stretch. Marini's going to get past him as Butler goes all the way up to the high side. So McCauley's going to have to deal with some lap traffic here to conclude this first stage. It looked like he got a little bit loose there off of turn 2, but again, he's about over a second and a half over the 6 Justin Belmonte. Remember, these top 2 guys were the drivers of discussion back at the start of the regular season back at Daytona and Auto Club, with Belmonte getting the favor both times. And then he started to slowly kind of fade away, and then it turned into McCauley and Bailey. Now it's just been kind of back and forth, and now with Bailey not here tonight, it's right back to the good old McCauley versus Belmonte here, the longtime veteran versus the newcomer rookie.
Yeah, obviously that early momentum translated into some plumb positioning here for Justin Belmonte here in his rookie season, starting as the number 3 seed here in the Season 4 playoffs, and he'll build upon that gap a little bit, again, with Scott Bailey not being in the picture tonight, so obviously no points headed the 88's way. Then the next gap was to Matthew Patak, who was plus 13, so that's a 4-point difference between the 6 and the 21 going in, and right now, Belmonte would stand to add another 2 points to that if the stage was to conclude as it is right now.
So we're coming to lap 43 here. We're going to have 3 laps to go in the first stage of the Richmond 150. First race, of course, of the round of 16 in the Earl Ross Cup playoffs for Season 4. And Macaulay, just leading the way, practically steamrolling the field. He hasn't lapped the whole field yet, but again, we have stages, so that's definitely going to prevent him maybe up. Well, again, the second, third stage are going to have a little longer legs, so we'll just have to wait and see. As seeing a battle here, it's all about the 7s. The 77, Hunter Young, and the 7 of Andy Hurdle. Young's going to pull away in front, though, now to take that 11th spot, but that's not going to be enough for that extra stage point, which looks like it's going to go to the number 3 of Dylan Baum, who has fallen all the way back to 10th. He was like 3rd at one point.
Yeah, he started in the first 2 rows, so again, I wonder if maybe there's something going on setup-wise there with the 3 that could be a little bit more of a long-term play, but again, the other variable, I don't think we saw a green flag pit stop in stage 1.
We did not, and again, this first stage doesn't have near the length compared to the second and third stage, but coming off the final corner, Corbin Macaulay is going to take the green checkered flag to claim the first stage victory in the Richmond 150. And, Dylan Baum getting hard into the outside wall in turns 3 and 4. He's going to actually lose that final stage point to Hunter Young as the caution comes out. So Young just stole a point from Baum.
Or was it kind of an unforced error there at the very end, just waiting for the YouTube feed to catch up to get to the moment of the caution being thrown, just to make sure everything's on the up and up?
I guess I just say steal just for the dramatic effect.
I mean, it's a fair point.
Yeah. But judging by this order here at the caution, your top 10 here for this first stage will be Macaulay, Belmonte, C.D. Magram, Matthew Patak, Ryan Gibson, Ty Higginbottom, Kyle Knoll, Jared Ireland. What a surge there after being in the grass. He goes up to 8th. Darcy Ford 9th. And Hunter Young is going to round out the top 10. So that is your top 10 here for the first stage. As now we're going to get some pit stops here under this stage caution.
Yep, and while that's ongoing, I will go ahead and do some maths, and I will report back.
You go ahead and do that, as this is a very awkward pit lane angle, if I were to put it a certain way.
Indeed so. Let's see.
All right, Macaulay and Belmonte with very successful stops. They're going to come off first. C.D. Magram 3rd, Gibson 4th, Patak 5th, Ireland 6th, Higginbottom 7th, Knoll 8th, Darcy Ford 9th. And I think that's going to be Andy Hurdle and Hunter Young wrapping up the top 10. Although it, for whatever reason, says Daniel Cudmore's the leader.
Well, we'll just have to see. He was kind of, based on the time the caution was thrown, he would have been the next car to be lapped.
So, yeah, he'll just get right back to the back of the field anyways, so no big deal right there. So, Cudmore's on pit road, Marini's on pit road as well, Jason Butler too, all cars that were a lap down. Well, Cudmore, again, you said wasn't because he would have been the next car to be put in there. But, as per usual, the number 17 Holland College, Oysterbed Speedway, Chevrolet, Corbin Macaulay. Max Verstappen?
Somewhere in that ballpark, yep.
Well, to be fair, though, he only won out of 13 starts, he only got 6 of them. Because
yeah, fair.
We do have some other different winners Of course.
Yeah, and now that we've had sort of this window here to kind of go through pit stops and get some of the math done, I do have a slight update in what kind of the real-time standings look like. So toward the top, obviously, Corbin McCauley with the 10 points plus the bonus point for the stage victory. That just pushes his gap out even further. Jared Ireland and Justin Belmonte now tied overall. They'd be plus 25 over the cut line, 2026 total points. Matthew Paytak with a nice run to finish fourth in this stage. That puts him up to fourth. He jumps Scott Bailey there. Ty Higginbotham sixth, CD Mangrum seventh. But again, the movement really happens toward kind of the second half. So Ryan Gibson with the 6 points did in fact pull himself out of that bottom four drop zone. He's now in 10th with a 5-point gap to the 13th place driver, who would be Jonathan Peden right now. Dylan Baum, now your bubble boy, 1 point in the difference between 12 and 13.
Appreciate the real-time update there. We're going to get a couple more here as this race goes on, but the green flag is back out here in the Richmond 150. Stage 2 is underway.
And it started pretty much how stage 1 and the restart went.
So some double file action going towards the back. McCauley completely pulling away from the field. Belmonte and Mangrum there getting away from the 4th place and 5th and 6th such cars. But side by side, it's Paytak and Ireland going at it here for the 4th spot. And then you got Kyle Nolan and Ty Higginbottom here joining in the battle. Some double file racing 2 back. Oh, whoa, and Gibson, there's some kind of a moment just happened right there between a couple cars. I think Gibson may have just given Young a bit of a tap right there. I couldn't see for sure. But some cars getting a little bit all over the place towards the back. Thankfully, every car managing to keep it straight. That's what matters the most. Oh, no, trouble! Jared Ireland in the inside wall.
So that's a double dose of trouble here for Ireland so far. He made up a bit of that in stage 1, clawing his way back up to 8th. But again, that's 2 incidents here now for the 13. 13 traditionally not so much a lucky number anyway. Jared Ireland unfortunately proving the evidence right here tonight.
So yeah, the rear end just completely loses itself, and he the left front right into the inside wall. So definitely not ideal for the number 13. Still a couple battles here going on as Conlo and Darcy Ford are very close. Oh, trouble! Dylan Baum's around! 3 other cars involved in this one. That's Andy Hurdle, Hunter Young as well. And the caution's out here on that 56 at 200. So a couple playoff drivers involved in that one. That might put a damper on things, especially if there's damage to... I would think Hurdle and Young might have some stuff here as Andy Hurdle goes down pit road. Young's still out on the track. Dylan Baum as well. So, again, we saw cars all over the place. It was, in particular, number 23 I was seeing in the midst of it. And then we had Jared Ireland going around. Then we had another rookie getting himself around. And then a couple experienced guys getting involved in that one. So we're going to have to take a look back here and see what happened. I'm actually going to take a look at what may have happened here all over the place with some of these guys back here. See a Young on the wall right there. I think it might be... I'm trying to see. If I'm unable to get this one, we'll just go right to the wreck that just happened. We already saw what happened with Jared Ireland, of course.
Okay, so yeah, there's Baum. Maybe a tap there. It wasn't quite... I don't think we quite got to the incident itself, but I wonder if maybe that was sort of a trigger.
So some slow moments right there, but I think what we do need to get to here is what happened with Dylan Baum, of course, and a couple other cars as well.
Oh, looked like there may have been a rear tap in one of those kind of... as you were skipping back to kind of figure out what was happening. I think there's a tap.
And then they get up in the outside wall. Yeah, Young was collected up in that one as well. So definitely a bump from behind by Hurdle, and then nowhere to go for the sevens. Oh my goodness, Jared Ireland.
Yeah, I just finished saying 13 was an unlucky number. 7's supposed to be super lucky, and then we just saw the 7 and 77 involved in that particular wreck. So, in essence, just throw anything I've said so far out the window.
Yikes.
Ooh.
Might be able to get a good angle here, maybe from Dylan Baum's goal bar. Oh my gosh.
Man, oh man.
Trying to see if I can maybe get an angle somewhere here.
As if a short track wasn't limited enough space-wise.
I think Marini also might have had a close call there coming through here. Yeah, just a little bit. But Ireland with an incredible save getting through that one. Very close call.
Yeah,
and I want to see.
That rubber's cooking as it is, but you have to think, like, taking that kind of avoiding action, that I would say Ireland's tires may have taken even a slight additional hit as a result of the avoiding action.
So Andy Hurdle just coming off a pit road. He's one lap down. He's going to get off the pit lane before the field comes back around. Hunter Young, both cars, yeah, Hurdle and Young both one lap down. Jared Ireland still in his pit stall. He's barely going to beat the field off of the pit road. He'll have to come back around, though, very quickly, as this field is going to be going right back to green here on lap 62 of 200. Oh, would you look at that? Daniel Cudmore in 6th. Or 5th, sorry.
Well, I mean, maybe there's kind of an alternate strategy in play. Cudmore, of course, known for his conservatism on the track. And, yeah, just kind of finding his way through some gaps here. And, we'll talk more about that later. We're green again.
Indeed, we are back to green. There's Ireland trying to catch I believe it's Ireland still trying to catch all the way back up with the field here. We are 3 wide coming off of turn 2. That was Baum, Higginbottom, and Marini, I believe, in that one.
Yeah, I think definitely getting tighter and tighter.
I think Cudmore might have had a moment because he's fallen back here to 7th, and he's starting to fall back just a little bit more. There's Darcy Ford in 9th. Baum and Marini still there side by side. Oh, no more. A couple cars getting in the wall. I think that was Young and Butler in there. Ireland still trying to catch up. Young right here, still a lap down. So is Hurdle as well. Oh, trouble. Jose Mercado looks like he went around. His car's still straight. Looks like no one else got involved.
Still green.
Yeah, still green. We're going to have to see what happened right there. Oh, Ford. Okay. Yeah, he's kind of a distance behind. We'll have to see. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, Ford.
Yeah, it looked like Ford had the speed there. Mercado did not.
Might get a better view here from Ford's inside the car here. Well, yeah, Cudmore had a bit of a moment there as well, so. Ugh.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a lockup from the two there, as you mentioned. And, yeah, ultimately when that happens, I just mentioned it earlier, it's not like there's a whole lot of room to go around at Richmond to begin with. It just closes up that much quicker whenever something like that happens.
Indeed. And, nice to see the number 2 of Daniel Cudmore still hanging on here in 7th as Jason Butler's made his way all the way up to 8th after all that just happened. So nice to see there after we saw from, again, the 10 back in stage 1 falling all the way to the back. Again, could have been something to do with maybe being conservative, some strategy related. It doesn't seem like he's going up to the high side as much. So...
And really, with the bubble where it is right now, Butler's just 2 points out. Michael Wolford, and Andy Hurdle, the three playoff drivers to not earn stage points in stage number 1. So they're still stuck on 2,000. Again, 12th place is at 2002 right now. So there's still, it's very tight. I think it'll be tight right through to the end of Kansas next week. But yeah, really, not as much of a panic yet, but stage points are always nice to have.
I'm just getting some word here from Jason Butler, so I'm going to see what that's all about.
Oh, we got a caution, though.
There's still a wrong. We just got a stage break for no reason.
All right, we apologize right there for going in a little loop and getting away from the action there, folks. What we will call that is a technical issue right there. So we'll consider this a competition caution, and we'll just go right back to green here. There were some guidelines based on who could bend, who could not. So we're gonna get right back to Green here, just a little bit of unfortunate circumstances to occur right there, but we'll move on. All good. Let's just get back to green here. So the pace car will roll off, and we'll be back underway here after that little bit of a quote-unquote competition caution. The Richmond 150 is back underway here in the second stage.
And yeah, we'll just have to see if the...
No, trouble, big wreck. Oh, Cudmore, hard on the wall, Ty Higginbottom, Paytax in it, Magram's in as well. And we got a pile up here down the back straightaway.
Say damn near half the field's affected by that.
And that's going to cause major complications here with the playoff grid. So definitely unfortunate timing to have those issues because that's going to be rough for a lot of these guys here.
And yet again, it's, a long stage, though, at 70 laps, give or take, somewhere in that ballpark. So still, ultimately time to make it up. It's really down to what damage was inflicted over the course of that series of incidents.
So under caution here on lap 80 of 200 as we just had something that the many playoff drivers didn't hope would not happen. But indeed it did, so we're going to have to go back and check what just happened here with probably about half the playoff grid, I would imagine, or something like that, half the field here.
Pretty close.
I'll go back one more time right here. Get a good eye from a higher angle right here. See how Gibson just comes down a little bit into the core panel there. Megerman hard into the wall goes Noel Higginbottom as well. Paytack gets collected in that one as well. So good avoidance there from a couple guys. Marini gets in that one. Ireland just a little bit as well.
Yeah, that is a very unfortunate circumstance. It has to be said. Good avoiding action from Hurdle. It has to be said toward the very back of the field as that went down. I just went back to the YouTube feed to try and get a sense of what was going on while you were kind of looking more on board. And yeah, it basically becomes, a glorified bumper car track there for a few seconds.
Noel taking the hardest hit of them all right here. Ugh. But some great avoiding action here from Cudmore and Butler.
Yeah, and for Butler, again, I just finished talking about him being one of the guys still on the 2,000-point base here so far. The fact that he's been able to keep the nose clean.
Okay, he did go around. But that's definitely better than what a bunch of other guys here just got caught up in. And we are back to green here on lap 83 at 200 with Corbin McCauley leading the way. Side by side are the two rookies in Belmonte and Dylan Baum here into turns 3 and 4. Ty Higginbottom following in behind though. Again, after that hit that he took, he's still up here, so that's good to see.
Yeah, it must have been something where, the damage wasn't as bad as maybe we would have thought. Certainly he got the tail end of that incident, not hit as hard as Kyle Knoll, who's still hanging around in the top 10, it has to be said, after taking arguably the hardest hit of all.
So Dylan Baum now falling all the way back here. I wonder if something may have happened. Oh yeah, just went up very high right there. But he slots in behind Higginbottom for 4th. Oh, he's going to get loose off the final corner. He'll keep the car straight, but that's going to make him fall back to 5th. And if we want to talk about something notable at the playoffs here and after that wreck, Ryan Gibson's in his pit. Okay, I'm seeing some smoke here. Actually, I'll get to this very quickly. Okay, we seem to be all good as Kyle Knoll and Andy Hurdle are currently fighting for that final spot in the top 10. Couple more side-by-side action here going on. Still side-by-side between these two. If they can get single file, then I can get to that little notable fact that I wanted to talk about here. Is Hurdle gonna barely clear Knoll on that one? He's gonna get Knoll loot. No, he's not gonna clear him just yet. Now he will. Knoll's gonna cross over to the inside. Oh, Paytak's gonna give him a bump.
And I don't even know if that move itself was fully clear, it has to be said. As you say, very, very tight quarters as Andy Hurdle was trying to push the other man up, that being Kyle Knoll in that particular case, as we look at, rather unfortunate development here in pit lane.
Yeah, so the number 23, Ryan Gibson, the one car out of that wreck getting the worst circumstances. Well, I mean, Knoll did hit-wise, but Gibson 12 laps down. So the damage that he sustained in that wreck, that's going to cause major complications for him on the playoff grid here.
It could, but again, the fact that he grabbed 6 stage points in stage 1, that softens the blow a little bit, because say he finishes 17th tonight, throw those 6 points in, that's like the equivalent of 10th or 11th on the track. So there's still room for Gibby to work, but again, certainly not the ideal circumstance. As door to door here, we can take that into the wall.
The track, Ireland's almost going to get into his left rear quarter panel. And again, Paytech was involved in that wreck earlier. So, not ideal for him as he falls back to 14th. Again, though, he did finish 4th in stage 1, if I recall correctly. So those stage points will help him out. Again, there's still plenty of time for things to shake up. We still have this second stage to conclude. And Darcy Ford, the 64, Wingsnoff Chevrolet, is going to get by the number 97 of defending series champion and last Tuesday night's winner at Daytona, Ty Higginbottom.
Yeah, that is P3 for Darcy. And again, we're talking about Higginbottom having snapped a winless drought last week there at Daytona, dating back to the Season 3 finale. Darcy Ford still looking for that first win since the Season 2 finale when he took home his own Earl Ross Cup.
And based on his momentum in recent weeks as well, it's not surprising to see him up front, especially again, he finished 3rd back in North Wilkesboro weeks back. And again, here at the second of the 2 short tracks here on the 2023 NASCAR Series schedule, he's running 3rd here in this second stage. And if I go back to some of his results in recent times here, he's finished, between Talladega and Daytona, he's finished 6th, 7th, 3rd, 7th, and 6th, which is a major difference compared to when he started the season 18th, 20th, and 15th. He did have 5th and 6th for 2 weeks in a row. Then he went kind of back to that start of the season there in 18th, 15th, and 19th between Atlanta, Michigan, and then Charlotte. And then Charlotte, he disconnected. And it kind of seems as though that everything turned around after that, and he just started, started getting some momentum boost, getting some confidence boosts, and he's got a top 10 in every one of the last 5 races, and also that podium back in North Wilkesboro, and he'll be looking for another podium and top 5 result here at Richmond. But again, we're very close here to the halfway point of the race. We still have another half of the race to go very shortly.
And the other thing to consider with the 64, just to kind of wrap up that particular point, you were talking about some of the starts toward the end of the field to begin the year. Tonight was effectively a reversion to that. We didn't really talk about this in the pre-race. Darcy Ford, one of 3 drivers to start tonight, having incurred an EOL penalty based on the events of the finale of Daytona last week.
Indeed, so Ryan Gibson is still in his pit box, so wondering if he's just going to try and wait it out and hopefully get some points out of a 17th place finish, unless some other driver goes through some fiasco here early in the 3rd stage, and he could maybe take advantage of 1 or 2 spots right there. But we're seeing here, as we'll be halfway through the race the next time around, and also the next time around we'll have 15 laps remaining in the 2nd stage, and McCauley right now leading by just over half a second over Belmonte, which again, that gap is a lot shorter than what we've seen throughout most of this race, where it was originally maybe about like a second and a half to just around that area. But now it's a little bit shorter here, as Belmonte may have potentially found something versus McCauley, although that competition caution that we did have earlier could have definitely changed things up. Well, 2 cautions actually, because of the wreck as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to deny that there was definitely, cautions do have a way of altering things. And again, I'm not really sure. I think we did have a little bit of pit road activity, maybe not the full slate, but I recall definitely a few going down. But maybe, as you say, Belmonte has found something in, a slightly longer run here. It has to be said. Again, a 70-lap stage is what we're looking at here. Of course, that does account for the caution laps between stage 1 and 2 as well, it has to be said.
So McCauley and Belmonte here separated by about half a second. 4th and 3rd. You got a couple of guys in that earlier pile up. Higginbottom in 4th, still running pretty well. There's Magram in 5th. Butler did get involved in it a little bit late, but he's up there in 6th, looking for his first top 5 finish of the season. Dylan Baum also, I believe, was collected, and he finished he's currently in 7th. Wolford currently running in the top 10. Nice to see again. Unfortunately, he missed the playoffs, but he's an underdog.
No, Wolford's in.
Oh, no, he is in. Sorry about that. Yes, he is in. So an underdog trying to take advantage of some guys here towards the bottom of the playoff field. I don't know where I got him being out of the playoffs. My memory is fuzzled. Oh, and Hurdle's going to get very close up there with them, as Wolford's going to get in the outside wall. Oh, and Dylan Baum's going to go around on the front stretch. There's a caution. Man, oh man, he's going to get the rear end of the inside wall. Barely. I think what I did with Wolford, I might have mistaken him with Daniel Cudmore perhaps there, but anyways. Enough of that. Dylan Baum spins on the front straightaway. The caution's out.
Yeah, it seems like it's pretty well self-inflicted there in the case of the 3. But it'd be worth taking another look at that just to be absolutely sure. Yeah, just making his way kind of low to middle line, just kind of on the exit. Yeah, loses it. And there he goes.
And thank goodness he didn't go up the track on that one. He's able to keep the car about like half track, half apron. And then he doesn't brake.
But it appears the rear of the car didn't brake either. Because, again, just a very minimal tap on that infield wall.
So yeah, just loses it. Again, slick racetrack, no surprise there whatsoever, and then just kind of, wheel locks it right there. Barely getting into the inside wall with just a little bit of a tap. But he's still in this one. His number 3 Sim League Pro Toyota still going, even though it is one lap down now towards the back. You can see him in between Macaulay and Belmonte. But if we look at the weather tab now, the track temperature has slightly cooled, but it's still slick. Mercado's slick.
Yeah, I mean, we're down to, 41. Is that what I'm reading there? I'm still watching this through the lens of a potato here, evidently.
It is, yes.
So, yeah, 41 as you called. The Mercado temp, we'll call it. And, yeah, that should lend itself to maybe a little bit more of a forgiving surface here moving forward as it does cool down a little bit more. But, again, that's not going to be any consolation to Dylan Baum right now as he's dropped down to 16th.
So Baum's going to head to pit road this time by right here. Ryan Gibson's still in his pit box now, 31 laps down, so he's being very patient because he's still in the server. Again, his car still hasn't disappeared. But Macaulay leading the way here on lap 109 of 200, so 7 laps to go in the second stage. I would imagine we might have a 5-lap shootout to solve the middle stage, of course. Macaulay looking to sweep the first 2 stages right there. Belmonte looking to earn second both times. Darcy Ford looking to improve from the stage 1 result up to 3rd. Can you remind me where he got the first stage again?
Who are we referring to here?
Darcy Ford.
He was 9th in stage 1, grabbed himself 2 extra points there.
So that would be a +6 right there, and that would be 8 points there for the 64 if he's able to hold on, because again, he does have a lot of guys in here behind, and Ty Higginbottom, C.D. Magram, even Daniel Cudmore and Andy Hurdle doing well up here. You can see Jose Mercado up in 8th. Marini's 9th. Jared Ireland rounding at the top 10. He's been, back and forth with a very chaotic race thus far. Kyle Nolan 11th, trying to recover from that damage that he sustained, the big hit that he suffered in that earlier crash. Jason Butler in 12th. He's been all over the place as well. There's Michael Wolford, who is in the playoffs. Hunter Young 14th. There's Matthew Patak catching up in all the way up on the Ty's side there. Young 15th, Baum, and then, of course, Gibson on pit road. So the pace car is going to roll off. We're going to have a 5-lap shootout to solve this second stage. Macaulay jumping out once again. And, there's going to be some stuff going on back there. Marini falling back hard in the back of the pack. So far looking good here, though.
Yeah, maybe a couple of wall taps kind of middle of the field, but overall, everybody going in the same direction.
There they go in the back. And Jared Ireland, that was Hunter Young getting some contact there. Mike Marini and Jason Butler went around. No caution. We're still going. Never mind. There's more contact. Now the caution's out. Hurdle hard in the inside wall. Calamity happening here at the end of the second stop.
No!
Goodness.
There might have been minimal contact there, but that could have been so much worse.
So in that case right there, that will practically do it here for the second stage here. Well, actually, we're going to end up solving it here in just a couple more laps because we still have cars coming down pit road, so we'll have to come back after we look at the incidents and see what happened in 2 separate incidents, one of them being a caution. So get the ticker off and we'll take a look. Butler diving down, tries to save the car. Marini doesn't slow down. He gets into the back of him. Barely clipping the left rear quarter panel of Hunter Young. Both cars keeping it straight there. But it was up here with Andy Hurdle And someone else that did trigger a caution. Oh, Kyle Nolan not clear going down, hits the right side of Daniel Cudmore. Hurdle then hard in the inside wall. And then, yikes.
Yeah, obviously a tap there, a slight one, it has to be said. But again, it could have been so much worse for the speed Marini was carrying at that point.
Oh, man, it was neck code. You can barely see it. Barely.
Yeah, so that's, about as unfortunate as it gets right there.
And so here's Marini's angle, and this definitely gave him a heart attack. Oh.
Hey!
There might not be some happy moods after that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to... you don't process things the same in the heat of the moment. Trust me. But, yeah, once there's sort of the analysis after and there's sort of the realization that the netcode effectively was a bit of a trigger there, I think hopefully cooler heads will prevail. But in the heat of the moment, yeah, I probably would not want to be broadcasting the driver feed of what's being said.
Yeah, I just got word there from Butler that he takes responsibility for that little incident that happened right there. But technically right there, the second stage just did conclude. I think Jared Ireland was the winner.
Yeah, a bit of, again, strange timing there. And again, that would be, well, there would be no better recovery for Jared Ireland if that does ultimately wind up being how it goes down. Because if you recall, he was involved in a second incident earlier in the stage, had to fight back in stage 1. Now he's done the same here in stage 2 and may well have gotten himself another stack of 10 points out of it.
So I believe it will be Ireland, Macaulay, Belmonte, Darcy, Ford. I'm looking at the replay right here, by the way. Ty Higginbottom getting 5th. I believe Magram will get 6th. 7th will go to Dylan Baum. 8th to Wolford. And I can't tell exactly who's behind him. It'll be whoever is coming out pit road, I imagine, but this might be a thing that we'll have to check later because there were cars on pit road, there were cars on the track. So I'd imagine hopefully we might be able to catch it after the race. So anyways, the third and final stage is now underway. Oh, Ireland's going to spin and save it. And the caution still comes out. Oh, no, it looks like there was trouble back here, actually.
Yeah, I was trying to go back on the YouTube feed as the race went to 116 to try and get the order at that particular point.
Okay, you may have seen it right there, but we'll get the angle right here. Wolford had a moment. Oh, Mercado got into the back of him. Oh,
it looked like Wolford slowed up though.
Oh, hurdle. Jeez.
Yes, I think something went off in the 36 by the looks of things, because it seemed like, if you go back, it seemed like he just kind of lost speed, yeah. And once he was there, Mercado following closely, really nowhere for the 41 to go once that happens.
And then Hurdle just kind of carrying away that front end there of the 36. Actually, no, I just remembered too. It's actually Jared Ireland that had a moment that I need to catch as well. Where are you? There you are. He's currently in his pit box, but that save he made in front of the... Oh my gosh. Very lucky that no one else, especially Macaulay in particular, got caught up in that one.
Well, yeah, right at the head of the field, literally anybody was fair game at that point.
Ireland's been going through... It's like... We remember the run that he had that made him the June driver of the month. Then he has Daytona. And yeah, finished, I think it was 18th or something. And now it feels like he's getting all the Daytona chaos all over again. But he's still in this one. He's in... Well, he's actually getting around every lead car right now. He's currently in 8th on the leaderboard. Andy Hurdle's 1 lap down. Butler's 2. Wolford's 2. Oh, I think Wolford's engine may have just gone.
That would explain the sudden loss of speed.
I do wonder if that might have been a potential, maybe a shifting problem. Maybe he shifted a gear wrong and that caused calamity there in turn 1. But whatever happened there, that means, I would assume by what we just saw right here, the 36 of Michael Wolford will be the first DNF of the race, the first playoff driver out. I mean, oh yeah, there we go. There's Ryan Gibson. He is still in this one. Oh, well, 37 laps down, but on the track, he's still in it.
Hey, but with Wolford looking at a likely DNF here, that's going to give Gibby another position and another point in the end. So kudos to the 23 for the patience.
And that's what I was saying right there, too. Gibson's still... That's why if you're in the playoffs and you have something happen, but your car can still be repaired and be back in time to continue the race at some point, you don't give up, you stay patient, you do gain as many extra points as you possibly can, which I would imagine right now, with how many laps there are remaining, Gibson will be able to gain an advantage over Michael Wolford. And there's also Hunter Young at 8 laps down now, as he's also in his pit box, so he's going to lose a lot of time as well. Wolford's still in the server at the moment, so maybe there is a chance that he might be able to get back. I would imagine not, though, because he literally had smoke coming out the back, and his hood's
And
gone.
again, no fast repairs anymore.
And that as well, too. We don't have fast repairs anymore. That rule came into play beginning at Talladega. Go figure.
Then again, if you go back to the special events, we have seen a pit stop that went, close to an hour?
Was that Wolford?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Oh, it comes
Yeah,
full
so
circle. Jeez.
there's precedent, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Well, hopefully I don't end up being actually accurate whenever I mistakenly said earlier that Wolford, quote-unquote, unfortunately missed the playoffs, but... No, he is indeed here.
He got in regardless.
He did, but hopefully it isn't accurate in a way, though, because him being out of this race, and if he doesn't finish well at Kansas, then he could very well be on the chopping block, be one of those 4 guys, the first 4 drivers to be out of the Earl Ross Cup playoffs. But again, we're not there yet. There's plenty of time for things to shake up. Like we saw with that pile-up there after that little technical issue competition caution.
Corbin doesn't think you're live on the broadcast.
Oh, and I just noticed right there, we're not live on the broadcast. Now we are, so we are back to green here on lap 126 at 200. He's leading the way by about 0.7. Tenths of a second right there. Belmonte second, Magram's there in third, Higginbottom fourth, Darcy Ford in fifth. Most cars looking about single file here all the way up until, pretty much the back, which is definitely a good sign to see here. So I believe it'll be 72 laps to go according to my math. Here is now we're on lap 128. So again, there's still plenty of time for things to happen. But it's a short track at the same time. Like, things can happen, but time can also fly by pretty fast. And it already has here because we're plenty past the halfway point.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it earlier. We're kind of in the 23 to 24 second lap range here. Like, it was kind of mid to high 22s, I believe, in qualifying, if my memory serves there. Obviously, race pace just a little bit slower than that. But again, the point stands that there really isn't, like, things happen very quickly here. And again, the short track, even less time to react than you would have, again, at, say, Daytona or Talladega or even any of the itters that we've been at.
So now it's about a second lead here for McCauley. Again, everyone remaining single file. So I guess maybe This is the perfect time to do this. Hopefully the broadcaster jinx doesn't happen. TrackCams22.com, we thank them for being a sponsor and also providing these custom cameras that we use for every single race here in Season 4. And now that we get to continue them into the Earl Ross Cup playoffs for the first time in series history, it really does help to enhance and emphasize our broadcasts to make them look professional here on the iRacing service. So we will step back and do the TrackCams22.com crank it up for the first time here in the Season 4 Earl Ross Cup playoffs. So that was the TrackCams22.com Crank It Up. Again, we thank them very much for providing us with these custom cameras for the ovals, of course, here in the NASCAR series. We also will be using them in the Dart series with in-between oval and road cameras, I would imagine. So, again, thank you to them, and we also shout out our other sponsors as well. You kind of saw it on the rear deck there, Corbin McCauley's car, Holland Hurricanes with the Student Union as well. Kyle's Fried Chicken, Rampage Coffee Co., Wing Snob, GTR, team and sponsor. And, of course, there's, we'll give a mention to SimWrap Market, who we use their cameras for the Atlanta race, because we were using the new layout. Only the old layout, TrackCams22.com had cameras for. They didn't have it for the new layouts, so we appreciate their cameras for that one race. And if we ever end up using them again, then again, I guess we'll thank them when that time comes, but hopefully not. But anyways, right back to this. We are going to be reaching 50 laps to go this time around. And Corbin McCauley's still leading the way, although the gap has slightly shrunk during that crank it up by about 7/10 right there, almost 8. So McCauley hasn't gotten fully away, but there's still kind of a fair distance, and there's still some time remaining. And I do wonder if we might get green flag pit stops.
I'd have to think so. I mean, an 85-lap run, yes, a few of those were under competition caution between 116 and 119 or 20 or whatever it happened to be. But still, long enough run here that, yeah, you'd have to think that you'd have something going on.
Okay, I was just trying to get some communications going there, but it sounds like they're not going very well right there, so we'll keep going with what we were going there. I thought I heard a car skidding there, but it seems as though everyone is still going as per usual. Or, okay, no, Mercado. Okay, that was just a camera thing there with Mercado, jeez.
Oh, a little bit of loose activity here maybe up ahead.
Well, there is Young back there really up on the high side. Dylan Baum trying to get past Jason Butler here. He's in 12th. Hunter Young is 18 laps down in 15th. Wolford's at 36, still in his pit box, now as a hood over the engine. So I wonder if there is a chance he might try to get back in this one. But he's going to fall behind Ryan Gibson here. So that is going to be, I was saying earlier, if Gibson stays patient, he could come right back into this race and gain that one position, gains a little bit more points to at least help him out. And he just
there's
right
the
there.
move.
There's the move. He now moves up to 16, so that one spot may have very well saved him in the long run whenever we get to Kansas next Tuesday night. So the 2020 champion still has a sliver of hope that he can still keep going and try and chase after his second Earl Ross Cup.
Yeah, again, still, 2 stages at Kansas to navigate before ultimately that finishing order comes into play as well. But again, Gibby, you mentioned it earlier. It's just a matter of staying in it. You do have to be in it to win it. How many times have we said that? And yeah, by opting to be patient and take the time needed to repair and get back on track, he's got himself another place.
So the gap, again, still at 7/10 of a second. It's kind of gone down a little bit. It's shrunk a tiny bit more towards 6. But it's still staying relatively the same here as this time around. We'll be at 41 laps to go in the Richmond 150 here, first race of the round of 16 in the Canadian Motorsports Network NASCAR Series Earl Ross Cup playoffs. McCauley's still leading the way as per usual. He's going to have to get past the 41 of Jose Mercado here. Mercado holding his line on the inside. Oh, he's actually going to hold the 17 up. That's going to cause it to be now about a half a second between McCauley and Belmonte. I don't think the 17... I would imagine he may not be happy with him as Mercado eventually... Okay, that was very close.
And, I mean, there is, again, if you go back to Auto Club, like, there is a connection between Mercado and Belmonte as well, but we don't want to dredge all that up, shall we say, although it should be noted that in the process of that sort of lapping, Belmonte did get a little bit loose out of one of the turns, and briefly there was a bit of an effect, but it looks like that gap has just kind of come down even further here.
Indeed, it's about a half a second now. What happened there between McCauley and Mercado definitely shrunken down by about a tenth right there. And McCauley is currently 6 seconds, or I guess you could say Belmonte as well, just under, well, pretty much is 6 seconds ahead of third place here, and that would be the number 13 of Jared Island, who, again, we've seen how all over the place his number 13 has been through, getting in the grass, surging back up, and then getting involved in one or two incidents, particularly that pileup that we had.
And then winning stage 2.
And that as well. So he's up in third place, so it's no biggie whatsoever. He qualified third, now he's still up here in third somehow. Darcy Ford here in fourth place, looking for another top 5 finish here. His last one, again, coming back at North Wilkesboro. Finished on the podium there in third. Ty Higginbottom's fifth, C.D. Mangrum not too far behind here in sixth. So those are two guys that were caught up in that little pile. They're going to go side by side into turns 1 and 2 as Mangrum tries to get into the top 5. He will clear the 97 off of turn 2. So again, those two guys are caught up in that pile up and took some pretty decent hits. Oh, Darcy Ford trying to get on
nearly
pit road.
Another one.
Almost ran into the... Almost was running the back of. A very close call right there. There's been a lot of moments in this race where Ford's been on that inside line. Contact has been either a thing or a near thing. Like in the corners on the inside.
Maybe that was a late call for a pit stop there on the behalf of the 64. Because again, you saw the lockup and he had to cut hard to get back in. Is that Ireland in? We're
getting green flag pit stops here in this third stage as Justin Belmonte is now on pit road. Mercado, Wolfer, now McCauley's going to come down pit road. So at this point, it's going to be a matter of don't speed. Do not speed because we know McCauley has dealt with that before. So McCauley will hopefully try not to lose what has been a dominating race for him. And there's jeez.
Yeah, because I mean, if something happens and there is a penalty incurred at Richmond, you're losing at least a lap if that happens. Maybe 2.
So Jared Ireland currently leading the way on lap 1. Nice.
Well played.
So, yeah, I had to steal your humor there. Oh, look at that! Wolford's trying to set another pit record, tragically.
Yeah, unfortunate circumstances there for the 36. Again, having, that hard hit earlier and then, the subsequent engine issues that's got him stuck in pit lane ever since. Certainly not the way he envisioned the night going. Again, not having picked up stage 1 points. Again, we didn't quite confirm stage 2. I think he might have grabbed a couple of there. But yeah, ultimately not the way that he would have foreseen this night going. And he may need to do some work at Kansas next week to move on to the round of 12.
So Magrum's going to go for 4 tires right there. Jared Ireland's still leading the way here with 30 laps to go in the Richmond 150. Ireland's now going to dip down to pit road. And so a bunch of cars will get back here on the lead lap. Daniel Cudmore still has not pit yet in his number 2 Cudmore Design Ford. The brand that is owned and operated by brother Cody Cudmore. And now because he's on, of course, the way more used tires, way fresher for guys like Higginbottom and Magram who are going to get right by him and get back on the lead lap. So there's Jared Ireland, his pit stall. So Corbin McCauley looks as though he'll probably regain the lead back here once Cudmore goes down pit road. McCauley trying to get past Dylan Baum here on the inside. He will. Oh, and Baum, I think, hit the outside wall there again. He's going to fall back in behind, eventually in behind Justin Belmonte here as well, who I would imagine when Cudmore comes down pit road that Belmonte is going to get second place there. And
yeah, that's kind of academic.
Some close action there between Cudmore and Paytack. I mentioned Paytack on fresher tires as well. But considering Cudmore still hasn't pit yet, McCauley and Belmonte are catching really fast on those fresher tires. And I believe the gap, by the looks of it, is just over a second between these two guys, as Cudmore's still not coming down pit road yet. And McCauley now a second, it'll be about a second behind here heading into these first two corners. Well, lap 175 at 200, so 26 laps to go.
And I mean, Cudmore, once this happens, I mean, it's happening now, he is very much not the type to engage. Like, he's, again, the results have been hit or miss, but the racing awareness has pretty well always been there. And we're not saying that in a biased manner whatsoever. Obviously, series founder's one thing, but geez, I thought Belmonte was about to get into the back of him there just as I said that. But it looks like Belmonte's cleared him just fine. But anyway, just to go back to that point, the racing awareness and the sensibility, like with Cudmore outside the playoffs, he knows full well, like, he won't even think to engage with anything that could, potentially inhibit playoff drivers from achieving their maximum result.
So Cudmore still hasn't gone down pit road yet, currently holding third on lap 178 of 200. He is currently, by the looks of my math here, it'd be about 13 seconds ahead of Jared Ireland, who's just coming around the front straightaway here into turn one. But again, McCauley trying to get around some lap cars here. There's Andy Hurdle with damage. McCauley will have to get past Hunter Young as well. But a second and a half separating the 17 and the 6. And again, the 17 looking at the race summer. Actually, no, it'd be the driver info tab. McCauley's at 166 of the what will now be 179 laps of this 200 lap race, the Richmond 150. Just complete domination from the 17, who again, he didn't win the second stage as a result of that late stage 2 caution. But he still got second, so it's going to be plenty of points, and we probably shouldn't even talk about points, because he is quite literally en route to just sending himself right into the round of 12 with no problem.
At this point, yeah, it would take, he still does have to keep it clean over the next 19, 20 laps, obviously. But, yeah, just a matter of sort of navigating the lap traffic ahead of him, as I think, who was that getting into the wall there? I couldn't quite get a good look.
I didn't get a good look here.
Yeah, Paytack.
Yeah, so McCauley...
I thought it was, but I thought there might have been a little more white.
McCauley had a little bit of a loose moment there trying to get under Matthew Paytack to lap him. Paytack trying to stay on the lead lap in 8th. 8 cars on the lead lap at the moment. Paytack actually trying to get past Mercado by the looks of it, but no, he's going to let McCauley get by, so good on him right there. Looks like the gap between McCauley and Belmonte is ever so slightly shrinking, and McCauley really close. Oh, Paytack, there's the wall hit there, and I think Jason Butler even got the wall in the back. There's, oh my. You see that camera going nowhere on this driver in particular? I think Dylan Baum.
I do now.
Dylan Baum, I believe, is done.
Well, I mean, we're showing him in 14th on the board right now, so that would stand to reason. And again, after stage one, he was the guy that was kind of on the cusp there in 12th. So an early retirement definitely not going to help him if that is in fact the case here. And the cameras would suggest that that may well be in fact Dylan Baum's fate here tonight.
We were talking about Daniel Cudmore earlier being way ahead of everyone behind him, but now it's 14 and a half seconds behind, and Jared Ireland now catching up by a second. There goes Cudmore. He will now go down pit road with 15 laps to go in this race. So that'll drop him back, I would imagine, maybe just around the bottom of the top 10. So he'll try to maintain maybe a top 10 finish. Don't know for sure, but we'll have to see whenever he comes off of pit road eventually. You can see Wolford's still in his box. I would imagine at this point he's probably done unless he wants to remain patient, maybe run a couple final laps there. But again, Dylan Baum disappears when we go to his name. So I guess technically speaking, he would be the first quote-unquote DNF because, again, Wolford is still in here. So
Yeah, not 100% sure what's going on with Wolford. At this point, I mathematically don't even know if he could gain a position, even if some kind of misfortune were to befall Ryan Gibson. Yeah, Wolford now 70 laps down, so he's 17th regardless. Nothing will change on that front. But yeah, it might just be a matter of making sure he sees the flag in some form. It's the only thing I can think of.
And I would argue the same thing for McCauley here to get his car finishing clean after dominating the whole thing, just like he has in other races as well. He didn't dominate North Wilkesboro. He did dominate the second half, at least most of it, because Scott Bailey, who of course isn't here tonight, which definitely I would imagine helped McCauley, because I think Bailey could have definitely been a contender here, knowing how he and McCauley went back and forth back in North Wilkesboro. Bailey dominated the whole first half of that race, and then McCauley finally found something in his setup that worked, and he dominated the second half, went on to win. And right now, with 10 laps to go, coming to 9 laps to go, it looks as though the number 17 is looking en route to... I mean, there still is time, but it's looking pretty much safe that he's going to get he's going to sweep the short track races here in Season 4. And again, too, it's a complete difference in comparison to what the ideas that we have for next season, because we're hoping to go to a lot more short tracks and even road courses for Season 5. But for this season here, it's only 2 dates, and McCauley is just putting on a show.
Yeah, it's basically to the point where basically just keep it clean for another 4 or 5 minutes of race time. 8 laps, I suppose, now. But yeah, just ultimately there's a reason why he's won 6 times and is looking very much on course for number 7. And yeah, it's just a matter of sort of keeping the head, because when you have, that level of comfort per se, that's when that false sense of security sort of tends to have things happen. But the 17's done a good job of minimizing any kind of distractions or any kind of overly dramatic instances over the course of this year. And I mean, that's the proof is in the performance ultimately.
Indeed, he's, again, too, I mentioned earlier before in the pre-race show, of course, McCauley, the only driver that has won at Richmond in the history of the Canadian Motorsports Network NASCAR Series back in 2020 and 2021. He's gonna remain the only driver to have ever won at this track.
Well, it's looking like it.
And we were talking about, I just noticed here that, again, we were talking about Daniel Cudmore earlier, being in the lead there and then dropping back to third and then eventually going down pit road as Jared Ireland was closing in on him. And I was saying that maybe he'll try to come out with a top 10 finish, and it looks as though he will do that as he currently sits 10th, 2 laps down. The next driver in 11th there, Andy Hurdle, is 4 laps down, so Cudmore will certainly come home with a solid top 10. Not too bad to see from a guy who unfortunately did miss the play when he had a bit of a loose moment there off turn 4, but like I was saying there, he unfortunately did miss the playoffs, but the series founder, the network founder, he's still trying to have some fun, get some good finishes out here, get some experience and momentum heading towards the Dart Series whenever we get there through September and October, of course. And I think I was just seeing here, we're getting some battling here for the 4th position within these final couple laps as Ty Higginbottom, Darcy Ford, and C.D. Magrum are all very close together here for that 4th position. And McCauley's literally right behind them. They're very lucky that they won't be lapped by him here as the white flag is out. Yep, final lap here in the Richmond 150, the first race of the round of 16. And just like that, the number 17 Holland College and Oysterbed Speedway Chevrolet is going to come around the final 2 corners here. He'll remain the only winner, the only driver in history to have won at Richmond. That'll be 3 times in his career. McCauley will start off the playoffs on a high note and win at Richmond Raceway. That'll be his 7th win of the season. Absolutely no shocker.
Yeah, I mean the white
flag. Hang on. We still got a battle here to see here. Magrum and Ford getting up high right there, and I believe Magrum is going to steal a top 5 from Darcy Ford, so he'll take the 5th position and a couple extra points there, I would imagine, for the number 1 on the 64. So Darcy Ford falls short of a 2nd top 5 on a short track, but still a very solid finish for the number 64. But yes, going right back to McCauley here as he celebrates on the front straightaway. You go ahead with what you're going to say.
Well, I was going to say that we saw when the actual white flag went out, I feel like the majority of the field probably put out the white flag a lot earlier.
Yeah.
Because it was pretty clear cut how this was going to go. It was just kind of a matter of, keeping it clean, keeping everything, focused and on the rails, so to speak, for Corbin McCauley. And again, he's done it again. The guy that I'm now unofficially going to call the Richmond Raider, now that he's done the hat trick, and obviously a little nod to the alma mater Charlottetown Rural as well. But ultimately, again, the results speak for themselves here. And the 17, and mathematically he was going to get there anyway, let's be honest. But the W officially gets him into the round of 12, so it's just a matter of taking care of business, as he's done for the lion's share of the season.
Now Belmonte's going to catch up here to the start-finish line as there is your podium for the Richmond 150 to begin the round of 16. That is the 17 of Corbin McCauley getting the victory there. 2nd place, the number 6 of Justin Belmonte, the top rookie in the standings, beginning the playoffs on a high note. Then, of course, there was Jared Ireland as well. So not too shabby right there for the top 2 rookies in the field. And so,
well, notably, that's 1, 2, 3 on the starting grid, I believe, finishing 1, 2, 3 here tonight.
That is 1, 2, 3 qualifying and 1, 2, 3 race. So, with that being said, we talked about the podium right there. Here in our unofficial results for the 2023 Richmond 150. McCauley winning, Belmonte and Ireland rounding at the podium there. The 97 of Ty Higginbottom takes home 4th. Some nice momentum after capturing the win through a bunch of carnage back at Daytona last Tuesday night. C.D. Magrum rounding at the top 5, stealing it away from Darcy Ford. The top 6 are the only cars to finish on the lead lap as Matthew Patek and Kyle Knoll finished 1 lap down in 7th and 8th, but very good finishes for them, especially after being caught up in that pileup earlier. Daniel Cudmore actually got past Jose Mercado by the looks of it when we weren't looking, so he comes home in 9th. Very solid for him. The 41 of Jose Mercado rounds out the top 10, and nice to see again from another guy who unfortunately missed the playoffs. And we look the rest of the way from 11th to 17th. Jordy, you go ahead.
Yeah, so again, Andy Hurdle caught up in a few incidents tonight. Ultimately finishes 4 laps down in 11th. Ditto with Jason Butler in the number 10. He comes home in 12th. Then you get Mike Marini finishing another few laps down in 13th. Again, first time he's missed the NASCAR Series playoffs as well. So a little bit of a different outlook there for the number 12. Then you get into guys who had kind of extended problems over the course of the evening. Hunter Young finishing 19 laps down in 14th. Then we have Dylan Baum, again, a presumed late DNF based on the camera work, ultimately classified in 15th. Ryan Gibson grabs an additional position by coming back on track to come home 16th. Then Michael Wolford effectively out from, essentially the entirety of stage 3 with 82 laps down finish.